¿Ya escuchaste hablar de esta aplicación? La verdad es que hay miles de argentinos que hoy en día ya están jugando, pero pocos saben dónde se puede ganar más. La verdad es que a fines de febrero, a fines de marzo, hay bonos para todos los nuevos jugadores. Así que si te registras ahora mismo, vas a conseguir un bonus de 22.500 pesos y 250 giros gratis. No pierdas el tiempo y empieza a jugar hoy mismo.
Thousands of people start learning how to make AI videos every day, but over 90% of them give up in the first week. And that's not because the creation itself is hard. It's because they get lost in what AI model to use, what workflow to follow, or they simply get overwhelmed by so many tutorials. That's why in this video, I'm going to walk you step by step through the essentials you need. So by the end of it, you can go from a complete beginner to someone who can actually create impressive videos in less than 15 minutes. But first, before we actually get into the practical steps, you need to understand something, because this is what decides whether your next generations will look realistic or not. Most people spend 90% of their time inside AI video generators, testing prompts, and regenerating over and over again. And while that might seem like the right approach, it's actually the biggest mistake you can make. Whenever you create a video with AI, you have two options: text to video and image to video. Text to video is pretty straightforward. You write a prompt, and the AI creates an image based on your description. But there's a problem with that. The AI has to figure out the character, the lighting, the environment, and every other aspect on its own. And what happens almost every time is that it misses details. So let's just test it with this prompt. And this is the video that we get back. As you can see, it looks pretty decent and most of the details are there, but it didn't really add everything I asked for in the prompt. And this is not even the biggest problem. Here's what I get if I regenerate the same video with the exact same prompt as before. The character looks completely different, and it looks like a different rooftop. And this happens because every time you hit generate, the AI starts completely from scratch. It doesn't remember anything from your last iteration. So if you want to create a video with multiple scenes that doesn't look like random shots stitched together, it's impossible to use the text-to-video method. And that's exactly why the most experienced AI creators avoid this method all the time. They always go with the second one, image-to-video. With image-to-video, you're showing the AI exactly what the first frame of your video needs to look like before it even starts generating. The model takes that image as a visual reference and builds on top of it. The AI doesn't have to guess what your character looks like or what the lighting should be because you've already locked them in. So if I take this image and add a simple prompt, I get this result. It kept all the details in place, but on top of that, here's the video if I modify the prompt. The character and all the other aspects look exactly the same in every generation, but not everyone who uses this method gets realistic results. Most people generate average images and then expect to get a cinematic video from them, which is simply impossible. If you want to get realistic results, you need to make high quality images. So the real question is, how do you actually create them? Well, the answer comes down to 5 specific principles. And the reason thousands of beginners generate low quality images isn't that they're using the wrong tool. It's that they don't actually know what makes an image cinematic in the first place. Now, after studying real filmmakers from Hollywood, I found out that they all share the exact same 5 principles when creating a movie. And the good news is that once you understand what these are, you can start applying them directly inside your AI videos and create better results than most people. The first principle is lighting, and this is what makes the difference between an image that looks like a normal photo and one that feels alive. And that's because good lighting that has direction and creates shadows will make it seem like it's in 3D instead of 2D. Just take a look at this image with poor lighting, and now at this one. The difference is massive even though we only changed the lighting. Filmmakers know how important this is, and that's the reason they hire multiple teams and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on lighting equipment alone. Now the second principle is depth, and this goes hand in hand with the lighting principle for creating that 3D feeling. If you want to avoid creating flat images, you just need to add something slightly out of focus in the foreground, your subject sharp in the midground, and then the environment in the background. This will make viewers see it as a real 3-dimensional space. But this doesn't have to be really complicated. Even a small detail, like a blurred railing at the edge of the frame, is enough to create that effect. Now the third principle is composition, and this is where you actually place your subject inside the frame. Beginners who have no real background in filmmaking think that the subject should always be in the center, but that's actually a mistake very few people talk about. What professional filmmakers do instead is apply the rule of thirds. Imagine your frame divided into 9 equal sections by 2 horizontal and 2 vertical lines, and then just place your subject on one of those vertical lines slightly off center. It might seem really complicated, and it actually is for real movies, but when it comes to AI videos, you can adjust this in just a few clicks, like I'm going to show you now. For this principle, you can also take advantage of leading lines from roads, corridors, or walls that naturally pull the viewer's attention toward this subject. Now, the fourth principle is emotion, and this is actually the secret behind any blockbuster movie. All the cinematic scenes and characters are important, but what really makes them special are the intense emotions behind them. So before you even start generating your images, you always need to think, what should the viewer feel? Because once you know the emotion you're going for, everything else falls into place. You'll know exactly what lighting to use, the composition, and all the scenes. But if you skip it, you'll end up making all those technical decisions randomly, and the final result will feel low quality. So if you want to take full advantage of this principle, you need to also use the fifth principle, which is color. Every color you see has a feeling behind it, and that's why real filmmakers study them so much. Warm tones like reds, oranges, and golds naturally push toward intensity, tension, and passion. Cool tones like blues, teals, and grays push toward calm, distance, and isolation. So once you know the emotion you want to create, you basically already know which direction your colors should go. And now that you are aware of this, you'll easily avoid mixing warm and cool tones. These 5 principles are what every experienced creator applies in his AI projects. But just knowing them is not enough, you still need to know how to practically use them. To show you how that works, I'm going to go over to Higgsfield. If you've never heard of Higgsfield before, it's one of the most popular all-in-one platforms that gives you full access to all the image and video AI models. So instead of having 5 different subscriptions and switching between tabs, with Higgsfield, you get all that under one roof. But what really differentiates it from other similar platforms are its original AI features. One of them is Cinema Studio 2.5, which is the only workflow I recommend beginners use. It has everything you need, from creating images and videos to even voices, at the highest quality out there. And the only reason this is possible is because Cinema Studio is only trained on cinematic movies. So even if you give it a simple prompt, the results are way better than most AI models. And on top of that, the overall interface is so easy to understand that even a complete beginner can use it. That's why I'm going to use it for this video. And by the time you're watching this, Higgsfield will have already dropped Cinema Studio 3.0. It's their latest AI film tool, focused on more realistic optical physics, better scene understanding from references, built-in audio, and an overall jump in cinematic video quality. Everything I'm about to show you still applies. It's just that Cinema Studio 3.0 will take these same techniques and push the results even further. So if you want to follow along with the tutorial, I'll leave a link to Higgsfield in the description where you can sign up. Once you're inside the platform, this is the home page you'll see. Now, I'll go to Cinema Studio 2.5 and select the image section because I want to generate the location for my video. For this, I'll select the location option and then create the prompt. For the scene location, I'll choose a rooftop over a war-torn city. For the emotions inside, I'll go with tension and urgency. To emphasize that, I'll use warm tones like orange and red in this sunset light that creates dramatic shadows. Here's the exact prompt I'll use for it, and here's the result we get back. Even from a fairly simple prompt, the result already looks like it was made by a real production team, and you can definitely feel the intensity inside, so I'll save it as a new location. This allows me to see exactly how the environment will look before animating anything, which is crucial for not wasting my credits. Now let's go and create the character. But you need to be really careful here, because if you're not doing this right, your character might look different with every generation, even though you're using the image to video method. And honestly, this is the biggest trap when it comes to generating AI videos. I see too many people falling into it, so let me show you the proven way to generate consistent characters throughout generations. Just a few months ago, this required a lot of effort to set up, but now you don't even need to write a single prompt. And all of that is thanks to Cinema Studio. So once you're inside, go to the character section. Here you can build your character through 8 specific categories, the same way a casting director would think about building a role for a film. Genre is first, and this matters more than it looks. There are 14 options, like action, drama, and horror. And the reason this category is so important is that the same prompt generates completely